All right, ladies and programmers, we're going to do part 4.9 switching levels. All right, so the first step is to build a second level. So if you haven't done that already, this is what you're going to do. You're going to come up to your world. Okay, you're going to right click and you're going to say new subclass and you're going to name it level 2 or whatever you want to call it. Then you're going to go into your first level. Okay, so whatever your first world is, select everything, press Control A to select everything, press Control C. You're going to go into your level 2, you're going to press Control V, but then you're going to change the names from level 1 to level 2, and then in the constructor, you're going to change that um, to level 2 as well. Okay, now let's take a look at the code here. Okay, so the next step is to make sure you have the code for the score counter in the first level and in Nacho. Okay, so I'm going to hopefully this is a recap for you, but we're going to make sure we have this. Okay, so if you haven't done so, you're going to have to go to edit, you're going to have to import a class, and you're going to add a counter so that down here, I'm going to hit cancel because I've already done it, so that down here you have a counter, the same thing as up here, right? Okay, then we're going to go to our world, our first world, and you're going to make sure you have an instance variable here. So you're going to have private counter score counter equals new counter score. Okay. So and then later on down here, you're under prepare. You're going to add under add over here. You're going to add object score counter. So you're adding that particular score counter to the world, right? Now here's the next thing you're going to do though. Look, take a look. So add object new Nacho. What are we sending to Nacho? The score counter. Okay, so now the score, there's a instance variable in the world that's keeping track of the score counter, but Nacho also has it. So let's take a look at our good guy called Nacho. So if we look at Nacho, if we're going to go to his, he has this thing that says, let's see if we can find it. Okay, we have private counter score counter. So he's also has an instance variable that's keeping track of the score counter. And if we look at his constructor, so we're temporarily putting counter into a local variable called counter, and then from the local variable we're putting it from this local variable into score counter, which is our instance variable. So now let's press Control F, and then we're going to go next. So now when we have this thing called pick up coin, if you can see a coin, eat the coin, and then we add 1 to the score, and then now we're talking to that box. We have a box called score counter, which inside that box is the actual score counter on the screen, and we're saying, hey, I want you to set the value to whatever my good guy's current score is. All right, so if you don't have that, get that in. Okay, now, where were we? Okay, so let's talk about this. So we already just talked about a local variable. A local variable is a space in the RAM for storing information that belongs to a method, and it disappears as soon as that method is run. Write that down, and then also write this down about overloading a constructor. It's when you have two constructors that have different parameters. So let's take a look at what that's going to look like. Okay, so we're going to go to our second level, so level 2. Okay, now we already had this constructor, and a constructor for a world always has to have this because you have to define how wide, how tall, and how many pixels per cell, right? But now we have this second constructor, and look at this one. It's public level 2 Nacho notch. Okay, so this thing called notch is a local variable. Let's call it Nacho. That makes more sense with a lowercase. Okay, so we have Nacho and Nacho. Okay, so look, public level 2 Nacho Nacho. So here's what happens. So we're gonna send because look, when we have our character and he's in the first level, right? And then we're gonna switch him to the second level. We don't want a new Nacho. We want the old Nacho that has all his score and has his health and all that. So we need to send the same old Nacho, right? So what we do is say, hey, I'll make a new level 2 for you, but you have to send me your guy. So we send him our good guy, and then we say this. This calls on our regular method, so it hops up here, our regular constructor. Okay, so it runs this constructor, sets it up, and then we're gonna say, hey, that good guy you just sent me, I'm gonna add him to the world too. So we're gonna add the old Nacho that was from the first level. Okay. Now, in order to do this, right, we're gonna well, in order to do let's look at this. So we'll look at it in a second. All right, let's see what happens so far. So, um, let's see what we wanted to have happen. No, let's look at Nacho. So now we have to write the code in Nacho that's going to access that thing. So we're going to go to our act method. Let's look at our act method for Nacho. And so the last thing that he has is look for door. Actually, let's look at something else first. So we have let's look at this thing called pick up key. Okay, so here's what we have. So add these to your act method. Look for pick up key and look for door. I'm going to press Control F and I'm going to go next. Okay, so if you see the key, remove the key, and we have a Boolean instance variable has key equals true. So now we know he has the key, right? So if he touches the door, let's look at the code for touching the door. Okay, so now this should be the last thing. This has to be the last thing in the act method. So same thing, Control F. We're going to find the next one. Okay, so if he has the key, and you can see the door. So he's holding the key, and you see the door. Now look at this code. If the level equals 1, and he's still alive, level plus plus, get world.remove object this, greenfoot.set worlds, new level 2, and guess what we're sending to this? We're sending this Nacho. So Nacho is basically sending himself to the level 2, right? And the level 2 knows what to do with him. Now, we have some other stuff too, depending on how many levels you have. If the level equals 2, you're going to send him to level 3. If it's already level 3, you're going to send him to level 4, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can just keep going for as many levels as you want. Okay, if you want to write that code, you can. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see. I can't remember if this works, so we're going to reset it. I think it all works. Okay, so our guy goes. He jumps. Now he gets the key coin. His level's gone up. He gets the key. So he should be able to open the door. So I'm just going to pop him up here and kill this bad guy. Uh-oh, we missed the bad guy. Okay, so we're at our new level. Now let's take a look. We have a problem here. Look at this score is 0. We know. Let's hit pause and make sure. Okay, now we want to make sure that we didn't send the old Nacho. We sent the new Nacho. So let's inspect him. And let's see here. Let's see what his score is. All right, look. So his int score. So look, we know that that's the Nacho from World 1, right? Because we saw him pick up the coin. So we're going to run, and let's see what happens. Okay, now look. So this is not working anymore. So Nacho had a score counter in his instance variable, and every time he picked up a coin, he said, hey, score counter, add 1 to it. The problem is this is not the same score counter. Nacho's still talking to the score counter in World 1, right? Okay, so we've got to figure out how to fix that. So let's go to our level 2, and let's see what's happening. So here's our level 2. And we kind of copied so here we have private counter score counter equals new counter. Well, we don't want to do this. We don't want to use a new counter. We want to send the old counter, right? Okay, so let's see what we do. So we're going to come down here and look. So we add object. Okay, so here's the problem. We're adding a new score counter. Let's go Control X and let's go up here. So we just added Nacho, and we know that Nacho is actually holding the score counter we want. So let's say Nacho dot score counter. Okay, so we're saying, hey, Nacho is like what? Hey, you're holding a score counter in your instance variable. Let's send it to the world. Okay, so let's hit compile and see what happens. Okay, so now check it out. Score counter has private access to Nacho. So when we set it up, we said, hey, only Nacho can use this thing. Nobody else can. And so the level 2 is trying to do it. So let's go to Nacho and let's fix that. So we're going to go to Nacho. And we're going to go look at his instance variables. So he should have, up towards the top, he should have private counter, score counter. We're saying nobody but Nacho can use this. Let's make it public. And hit compile and see what happens. Alright, that looks like no problems there. Let's compile the whole thing, start from scratch, and let's run it and see what happens. So we hit run, get the coin, you get the key. I'm going to come up here and kill my bad guy real quick. Okay, you notice the score is 1. Let's go to our new level, and the score is 1. Let's see if it's connected, and it is indeed connected. All right, so we're good. I'm trying to think of anything else I should teach you. I think that's probably good for now. Ready,